Hey YouTube, welcome back to the channel. Got a bit of a different episode today. We're going to take you through a bit of a journey on the truck that sits behind us and why we chose it, what we've done to it, where it's going. Stick with us, it's going to be a great episode. So we're always looking for a bit of a rat rod project and something to do up. And the reason we went with a big International Harvester truck is, I may have mentioned in earlier videos, my granddad had one of these things. It was a C1600, a big green one like this one behind me. And we're thinking, why not, what better project to do than something that's got a bit of family nostalgia and something that we can pass on throughout the family. So anyway, chose the C1600, and so the first step was to go find one to go restore. So when you go looking for a truck, where do you go? Do you look in the, local rag, or do you look online, or maybe even the trading post if you're looking for some jousting sticks, for example? But no, we went and had a look at some of the truck forums, and I found this particular truck was half restored by a bloke. And I sort of reached out to him and asked him if it was for sale, and it was. So next thing you know, we're up to Brisbane, Christmas holidays, and I said to Mrs. Fred, on the way to SeaWorld, we need to make a detour. So here we are in this hire car, and we're pulling into an industrial estate. Mrs. Fred, seriously not happy. We're just wanting to get to SeaWorld. And we pull up and see this thing, and she just goes, "What are you doing, Fred?" And I went, "We're buying a truck." And here's a photo up in the top here. This is exactly what it looked like, and I took it for a fang around the industrial estate, and at that moment I had to buy it. All right, so where did it come from? Well, the truck itself actually came from a bloke who lived in Toowoomba, but his relative had the truck, and it was actually a friend of a friend, or some story, I didn't quite listen, but anyway, it was in Mudgee, and it spent all its life in a farm at Mudgee. In fact, it was an orchard. So it's always been a dry truck, zero rust or very minimal rust in certain areas, but it wasn't a coastal truck or anything like that. But yeah, so that's the history of the truck. So what is the truck? It's a C1600 1969 International Harvester rigid truck with dual wheels on the back that you can see. Come out with a 6-cylinder 282 petrol engine. Some of these trucks come out with a Perkins diesel, 4-speed manual, 1-speed diff. So where did we start with the resto? Well, first things first, it come with a Roadworthy certificate, which is a bit interesting because you've seen the state of our tyres. I don't know how they passed the rego inspection, but the first thing was the brakes were dodgy as. So Fred Jr., come over here. So all new brake line hoses. These were all perished and cracked and fluid, coming out of every orifice there. So they're all done. All new brake lines themselves. That's a lot of distance to do your brake lines. But they're all done. That was the first part of the rego inspection checklist, but there was a lot more to go after that. Given the size and the amount of things that we had to do to get this truck roadworthy, I then made a bit of a decision that this was going to become a paddock truck only, and that was going to be something that, we weren't going to have to go through the rigmarole of getting everything roadworthy, but still I wanted a truck that we're able to move stuff around on our farm and our property and have it safe. So as I mentioned, these trucks come out in a 6-cylinder. This thing was using a heap of oil, leaking all over the show. And, being a V8 man at heart, I had to get an 8-cylinder in the thing. So me and Frankie, took us a day. We pulled this 6-cylinder motor out. We had to remove the entire front end of the vehicle to do that. Check out the photos that Fred Jr. is showing you at the moment. We didn't have a workshop to work in. We actually had to pull it out on crushed granite. So check out these photos here of us pulling it out. Fred Jr.'s, you might want to know that Mrs. Fred made dinner that night. We had a beautiful barbecue dinner cooked up by Mrs. Fred. That was very nice. But yeah, the old boat anchor, it was out. And the new one, I'll talk about that in a second. So when you're looking for a V8 for these things, you can go an LS1 or you can put an old 308 in it. I wanted to keep a little bit authentic to our International Harvester heritage here. So in the 80s, International Harvester had this brand of truck called Accos. And they actually, a number of fire trucks were going around. They were all being wrecked at Cowra truck wreckers. Anyway, this one is out of a fire truck. It's a 345 V8, 5.7 litre. Super low kilometres, always serviced. Doesn't, blow any oil or anything like that. So I bought that. Fred Jr. is going to show you a photo of what that engine looked like. It was all painted black. It was orange underneath. And you can probably still see some remnants of that orange and black on the rocket covers on the side of the block here. Well, that's the past of the motor. Hasn't let us down yet, and it sounds a treat. But here at Clooney Garage, you can't have a V8 and not modify it. So Fred got up to some mischief here. I've actually put in an electric fuel pump. The other one had a mechanical, it's just here, fitted that. Of course, it had a dodgy old carburetor on it, so I've gone with a bit of Holly action there. It's only a little 2-barrel, but it works a lot better. I've just done a few other things too. The old radiator was cactus, and plus running a V8 now, we have to have a bigger radiator. Have a look at a photo of the custom-made radiator we got made, which is this one here, but got that made from a fab shop in Adelaide. It's a beautiful bit of aluminium engineering there. And the only other mods I've done is I put an oil breather on the rocker cover, fitted up some other tubing and fab, and obviously got our other engine mount to get it onto the front cross member here, because this truck never come out with a V8 before. So this truck had a, it was very, very straight. Only had a tiny bit of surface rust in it, in the top of the roof sills, bottom of the doors, where I think the truck had been parked and may have had a little bit of weathering. There was no salt and no corrosion or anything like that. And the truck was originally painted this sort of baby blue. I always wanted a green International Harvester truck. So the color I went with was the IH green base, but then I got a metallic finish on it and it got a gold metallic sparkle through it. And you can check out our other videos and links in the description below of what it looks like when it's washed and looking a lot better than here in the dark with the lights on it. It looks a treat. So paint and panel was all done by Fuller Brothers in Belconnen here in Canberra. They did a great job. They don't normally take on custom projects like this truck, but they fitted it in between jobs. They did an awesome job, and the paintwork, I can't fault it. So you can't do the outside and the engine without looking at the inside. So that's why we went with this fully retrimmed custom seat. It's the original seat backing and frame, but obviously all new cover, IH red piping, brand new springs, brand new foam, and it fits the cab perfectly. These trucks never come out with seat belts, so you can see up here, they've got the eyelets for the seat belts, but they're not fitted. And that's why, another reason we're going to keep this truck solely for farm use. Other modifications is the IH, rubber mat, and just little details and stuff too. We've got the original IH gear boot mats, pedal covers, fascia on the dash, the steering wheel's all been redone. And Fred Jr., if you look up on the stalk of the rear vision mirror, that's been chromed. And having said that, let's take you through all the rest of the chrome work, because that's a story in itself. Hello! So when it comes to chrome work, I did a bunch of it. There's only like one place in Canberra that actually does chroming anymore. Back in the 80s and 90s, and when I had my Tirana, you could get chrome work done everywhere, but these days, nothing. Anyway, petrol caps, exhaust tips, window winders, door levers, catches on the door, door handles, buttons, badges, the list goes on, Fred Jr. And then we got these custom things done, and the roof markers and the bull horns and everything on top, everything's been chromed from scratch. The chroming on this truck alone, don't tell Mrs. Fred, was $4,000. I know that's going to sound like a lot of money to spend on chrome, but some of these pieces were very bespoke. The grille, the headlight surrounds, the headlight shrouds, everything that you can see had to get bespokely dipped, and some bits had to get replaced. That also included the price of actually buying a lot of these one-off badges. So if you have a look here, Fred Jr., I had to go to a place just outside of Melbourne and buy a lot of these badges, these scrolled badges from a truck wrecker. And this stuff is not cheap. They're not making these trucks anymore. And you go to these places, you got to find the stuff and buy it. Part of Australian automotive history. So when it comes to the next steps on the truck, I've got a couple of things. There's a few niggling little things that I want just to get it running right and get it running regular. You've probably seen the earlier videos of it starting and all the rest of it. And these trucks, when they sit for a while and they get idle, they're not the easiest things to start. But I've got there with mine. I've got the thermofan set up properly, got the carby set up right. But my number one priority now is to get a tray on the back of it. You've seen it's just a bare chassis at the moment. It's to get my wheels fitted back on. I've got to paint my wheels. I've got to find some tyres, 8.25 by 20 inch. And then I'm going to get it up to a farm and start using it regularly. But we've only got two things, tyres and tray. And leave some comments below if you find someone with a tray that's going to fit this bad girl. I'd love to hear about it. All right, so I hope you've enjoyed our video today. Another midweek vlog. We keep talking about adding more content to the channel and giving you guys a bit of a background as to where our projects have come from, where they're going more importantly. But this is so cool having this old girl in the truck, and I do get it out and about, as you can see from the links that Fred Jr. will post. And it's pretty wild having a 5.7 litre V8 old truck like this hooning around, and we can't wait to get it on the property, get it to work, and more importantly, start reliving some old memories. So on that note, don't do it for Dale, do it for Brocky. Catch you later.